Ah, another day, another drought. This marks the longest break since a general Nintendo Direct, and fans are enraged. But that aside, Ultimate's still a thing after Byleth got released, who was poorly received initially due to being yet another Fire Emblem character. But since their release, Byleth proved to be a pretty cool character due to genuine love for Three Houses, or if you're like me, for the memes. Byleth also opened up opportunities to characters from existing series rather than entirely new third parties, which hypothetically opens up to existing third parties such as Sonic or Metal Gear getting new characters. So I don't see many discussing this because the hype is surrounding new third parties after all. And if we were to get a character from an existing universe, it would most likely be from Pokemon. I personally want Urshifu, but that will be discussed in another video. Adding existing third parties would be a great idea, however, since the only third parties that have more than one character are Street Fighter and Castlevania. Even then, Ken and Richter are echoes, though Ken's a lot more unique and virtually plays pretty different from Ryu. So for this video, here's part 1 of my wish list, in no particular order, of characters I want for Ultimate from existing third parties. Keep in mind that I only count assists as complete deconfirmations. Spirit and Mii costumes don't deconfirm characters in my opinion. So starting from the very beginning, Metal Gear was the first third party introduced via Solid Snake from Brawl. This came as a surprise, and many people like me have played Metal Gear because of this. Solid Snake's always held a special place in my heart ever since, but he's only one of the 5 snakes that are out there. Big Boss, Liquid, Solidus, and Venom being the others. Though of all the snakes, I think Big Boss would be a perfect fit as an Echo, specifically his MGS3 version. His animations would be virtually identical to Solid, aside from the taunts and whatnot, although he'd have his differences such as the side B being a regular missile launcher due to the primitive Snake Eater aesthetic. There could also be hints of Peace Walker or 5 such as the Love Box as a taunt, or Venom possibly being an alt costume, but most importantly, the iconic salute should be a victory pose. But let's move aside from the snakes a bit and focus on a character who fans initially despised but come to love. That's right, Ridin. Now if you're gonna say, but shamwow, PlayStation All-Stars! Just get out, like right now. Unsubscribe, dislike, and don't ring the bell please. Just get out. That aside, MGS2 holds the highest point in the series to me, and MGR was a really fun game. So I'm thinking, Ridin could be a mishmash of these two incarnations. Most of his normal attacks would consist of high-speed sword swings, while his special moves could borrow stuff from MGS2's like the Stinger or the grenades. However, at the same time, this contradicts Ridin's whole character arc about being himself rather than another snake. So if he's added, he'll most likely use his kit from MGR. He's got a bunch of different costume choices, with the most probable being his outfits from MGR and MGS2. Sorry Grey Fox, but looks like Ridin
managed to avoid drowning!
Not what I was gonna say, but sure, I guess. So those are my picks for Metal Gear. Now on to another inclusion that really hyped up Brawl, Sonic the Hedgehog. I'll be brutally honest, the treatment Sonic got for his inclusion could have been better, as there have been no remixes since Brawl's Angel Island. Not to mention Sonic's kit just feels kinda boring and bland. His representation could have been better, but hey, at least he hasn't little boy Cloud over there. With that said, Knuckles and Shadow would have been my picks if it wasn't for the assist treatment. So that pretty much leaves Tails out in the open. And yes, I know he's in the background of Green Hill, but DDD flies in the background of Dreamland 64 except for when he's fighting. So that argument's irrelevant. Tails would be a really cool pick because of all the gadgets he has at his disposal. Now, I haven't played much of Sonic myself, being limited to Adventure 2, the classics, and a little bit of Colors, but I still think this would be a great inclusion to remind us that Sonic sorta exists in Smash. Just don't have like 5 spin dashes as moves again. But what if we stepped into the sinister side of characters? That's right, villains. Now my brain says that Metal Sonic would be the pick for Ultimate, but my heart says Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik. Okay, now hear me out. Ridley got in even though he was a thick boy, so Eggman isn't out of the game. He can do stuff with his plethora of badniks and the various weapons he uses. I can already imagine that really pathetic boss from Chemical Plant Zone could be his down air when he spikes. Or even the Mean Bean Machine as his final smash. And to top it all off, his taunt would be Yosh! So now we're moving on to the Smash 4 era, where Mega Man pretty much started the trend of reactions on the internet. With his plethora of weapons from Robot Masters and, lemons? Mega Man's inclusion was practically a love letter to the NES games. As of characters, I would add another incarnation of Mega Man. Now I know what you're thinking, but shamwow, Final Smash is the Yeah, about that.
On my mark.
So with that out of the way, I personally want X as a fighter. He'd borrow moves such as the Lemons and the Charge Blast, but moves like down tilt would be his iconic dash animation, and up tilt would be more reminiscent of X2's Shoryuken. For his moves, he got plenty to choose from, alright. Having played only X1 and X2, however, I'm pretty much in no position to decide what his moves would be. However, I can say this much. His final smash would be essentially the same as Mega Man's, albeit activated differently. But how cool would it be to have Zero and Vile or Axel instead of Proto Man and Bass? Now unfortunately this will be the last third party I'll cover in this video, which is PacMan. Honestly, I can't think of any other representative other than Miss PacMan as an Echo. Maybe some of her differences could include using the Dig Dug enemy instead of the spaceship on Neutral B. Yes, I know, I'm an uncultured swine who doesn't know their actual names, but for the most part, she just essentially had the same kit as PacMan. I wouldn't know better because of the simplicity of the PacMan series, so she'd most likely be an Echo with the aesthetic differences a la Daisy, Richter, and Dark Samus. With that being said, this concludes the first video of this series. Next video we'll be covering Street Fighter, Final Fantasy, Bayonetta, and Castlevania. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Till next time, peace.